Okay, sounds like the last few steps on that previous video were confusing, so let me try and walk through this as carefully as I can. Okay, so we have some object. We figured out some XY coordinates for that, and we sorted through this in Excel to get it to graph. This is an XY scatter plot, by the way. Maybe I should do that too. So to highlight this stuff, I'm pushing down with my left mouse button and dragging it over. Sometimes just knowing how to use the mouse is hard. And then these charts, you can go with the recommended chart, and a lot of times that will get where it wants, but the XY scatter, that's what will show you those points, and those points connected with dots. And this is, you can move points around here a lot easier than you can move points around in CAD is the point. So get everything sorted for what it is. Now to copy and paste this, CAD can't read columns of numbers or formatted. It wants just plain text. The first thing to do is to put these two columns of numbers into a pair of numbers. And to do that, I'm going to use the concat function. And you can either type it in or it's under formulas and text. So you come to the formulas tab, text, and I'm going to just click on concat. So I have my cell selected, and then I'm going to click on this guy. And I want this first cell, comma, and then I want this second cell. So you can keep putting text in and keep putting text in. I'll say OK. If I zoom in, if I click on this thing, you can see what's typed in here. So it's not just numbers in here. There's an actual function in here that's combining columns of information. I'm going to first copy that down so that I have my chunks. And this, I have this in line chunks. So I go around the edge, and then I have a different segment, and then I have another different segment. And you want to bring it in, especially if you're adding this as lines rather than points, so that you have a continuous line that's walking around outlines and you're not having two lines over the top of one another or something. So kind of try the dot to dot approach where you're connecting from one to another and not retracing your steps. Okay, so to copy that down, and again, you have to be real careful with your mouse that you grab this lower right-hand corner, and if you get your cursor over it just right, it'll turn into a little plus. And then you can left click, and I'm holding down my left mouse button, and then I can drag those numbers down. So you grab the lower right-hand corner, push down on your left mouse button, click and drag. And that actually pulls that function. It updates these cells. So every time I have a new pair, it's updated for where that guy is. Okay, so we have all the concat, but I need something without the function. I just need those numbers. So there's a little trick with copying it. So what you do is I'm going to highlight it again and on the inside of this, and I can drag it down. When it's highlighted, it has like a green border around it. Okay, so with it highlighted, I'm going to hit Control C, and you get this dashed border so that I know I have it on my clipboard now. And I'll come over, I don't have to highlight the whole thing, just the first cell, and then I'll hit Control Alt V. Instead of just Control V, if I do Control Alt V, that gives me I can paste it as just values. So instead of the formatting and the formulas and the format, I'm selecting I just want the values, just text, nothing else, no equations, just the text. This is what CAD needs. Okay, so if I click on this one, you can see the function in there. If I click on this, it is just the text in there. It is just two numbers, and that is what CAD needs. Okay, So now that I have just the numbers, I'm clicking inside, so not on the corner this time, because that would actually copy that 0, 0 down. So I'm going to not click on the corner. I'm actually clicking inside of the cell, left click, and then I'm holding my left mouse button down as I drag it. So yeah, left click, hold my mouse button down as I drag it. Right click is another way that you can get to copy. So I can say Control C or right click and copy. And if I pull this up into CAD, so I make sure you're on a good line that's going to show up, that your light bulb is shining. And I'm going to go ahead and use a polyline, P-line, and what this does is it actually connects all of the line segments together into one object. Rather than the line command, you have individual line segments, and you'd have to go back later on and join those together to extrude it. Okay, so P-line, it's asking me for my starting point, and this is a spot I'm not going to click in the drawing area. I'm clicking on the command line here. And then I'm going to say Control V, and all of the points that I copied from Excel, that Control C, and it was sitting there in the clipboard computer memory. So it came over there. So let me try that one more time. So this time I'm going to grab the next chunk of data. So I'm left clicking, so I'm holding down my left mouse button and dragging it so that I have this selected. Once it's selected, Control C, and right now it's all of this information is on my clipboard. Then I can go back over to CAD. Enter will pull up that command again, so polyline. And again, I'm clicking inside of the command line, making sure my cursor is inside the command line, and I'll say Control V. So there's another chunk, and then to end the line, I'll say Enter. So that'll mean and you can kind of pull this up, and you can see that it's grabbed all of those pairs of numbers, and it keeps just adding point after point after point here. Make sure that your dynamic input is off when you're doing this. So remember, dynamic input, that's what allows you to either use X, Y coordinates like this, or if it's on, everything is with respect to the previous point you drew. So it'll really mess it up if dynamic input is on. So make sure this dynamic input is off. And again, that little tool, you can turn that tool off and on right here. So, and it'll tell you that's on, this is off. So you don't want that to be blue when you're doing this. Okay, the last little chunk here, let's go through here. So again, I'm going to escape. That gets it off my clipboard. I'm left clicking in the middle of the cell, drag, right clicking, copy, and this is just the text, not the concat, just those text. And I'll say Enter. There's my P line, and I'm clicking in the command line itself, and then Control V. So there's all of those points. At the very end, Enter, and it's off. So here's it pulled in those points again. Okay, hopefully that was, yeah, it's really hard to get all the mouse clicks just right and all the copy paste just right. And I think sorting things out in Excel, this is going to be easier than edit, undo, modify, undo, modify. It takes a bit before you can get all of those dimensions in there just right, and you have a nice framework to start working from. And you can also import like survey data, and there's all kinds of text files with elevations and coordinates that you can pull in as points or pull in as lines, and that'll get you a good starting base for a lot of this stuff. So I hope that was a little bit more clear. Let me know if there's any other commands, and I'll try and really pay attention to every mouse click I'm doing and because it's easy to miss one of those details. I know it just takes one missed detail to throw it all off. So let me know where you're getting stuck.